Let's see, welcome to the channel. What was originally dirty blues and soul, we sort of cut out the dirty and made it blues, soul, and funk. So that opens it up quite a bit. And in my case, I picked blues, but I was looking for something that was off center. So not something that, people would be familiar with. And in at least one case, I got it.
I didn't hear the sort of revised categories, so I just have some sleazy funk.
Your specialty.
Got some kind of raunchy groove to it. The second one certainly is full-blooded.
Yeah, I chose a couple of funk records too. There's nothing sleazy about these though. This is the kind of funk that goes down pretty easily, and I think sometimes we deserve records that are kind of smooth.
Here is Ignatz, which in Latin, I guess, translates to the fiery one. It's called Can I Go Home Now? And he's from Belgium. This is his fourth release on Phono Records, and it really is an aberration of the blues. So I'll look at some of this interior stuff. There's half a dead dog on this side, half a dead dog on this side. There is a bee on this side. You can see that little bee. And there's a wasp on this side. And this is a little more Frisian-like on this side because of the wasp, carry a little more punch. Anyway, he's got his pet dog on the front too. So this is definitely an aberration of the blues. It's a downer, sort of outsider, experimental blues. And he seems to mumble and sometimes states very clearly the truth. It seems to be truthful. It seems to be about something like genuine experience and definitely the human condition, but it's abysmal. And I think the things that set him apart are the irascible guitar solos. He uses no distortion. They're very tinny. They're blues scales. His compositions are not really blues forms, but maybe elongated and warped blues forms. He's got some accompaniment and subsonic bass and maybe someone hitting a cardboard box. Anyway, it gives you a subtle John Lee Hooker stomp. And in one case, he actually applies the Bo Diddley beat, the Boogaloo beat. Um, and I think I would describe this as refined coarseness, sort of cast adrift. Uh, the production is just right. It lets the eccentricities show through. He's very much not popular. I see him in the used bins occasionally, but they always disappear. So there are some weirdos out there collecting Ignatz. He's an artist that's not trying. He just is. And there's a purity in that. I mean, even though it's abysmal and it's downer, there's an energy underneath that sort of permeates. It's sort of a Frisian-like energy. It's got bummed out charm, but it cheers me up. It puts me in a good zone. I think anybody that's into outsider music, something that's unique, should check this out. And then I have Jessie Mae Hemphill, Run Get My Shotgun. She's a self-proclaimed she-wolf. Well, she wrote a song called She-Wolf anyway. She is a traditional female blues artist that won the yearly award for the best traditional female blues artist, 87, 88, 94. She's been active recording since 1967. These are very high quality field recordings from a session New Year's Eve, 1989. And she is part of that Hill Country Blues, or more specifically, North Mississippi Hill Country Blues that comes out of the juke joints and sort of the dancing. This music is made to dance to. So the lineage comes from, Delta blues, and then you have the 60s revival of Delta blues, and then you have this new genre sort of picked up by Fat Possum. And although this record isn't on Fat Possum, she is recorded for that label as well. It's just voice and electric guitar. Oh, she's got a band, but that's what is focused on. part of the genre. Stylistic traits are steady riffs, locked in groove that creates inertia. She's got a honeyed voice, but with tooth and a cocksure yelp. So she's one woman that can go toe to toe with her male counterparts like Junior Kimbrough or R.L. Burnside. She's wild. And there's a lot of variety on this particular release. She has other albums. I recommend them all. She's also got a fairly new set of new songs recorded on an album. So let's see. There's a picture in the back. Maybe possibly a better picture of her and her dog there. Anyway, I highly recommend this to anyone that likes blues or country blues music. Eric is up.
All right. Well, I can't compete with the dog theme you've got going, but I can sort of tie into the Bo Diddley you mentioned because the first record I selected is The Black Gladiator by Mr. Diddley, or Bo himself. This was, I guess, some 10 years after he sort of busted out on the scene with his self-titled song, Bo Diddley by Bo Diddley, and his signature beat, and changed history. But by the late 60s and early 70s, he and a lot of these guys who had pioneered all this music that was being ripped off left and right by a younger generation of white musicians, he and they, that is Bo Diddley and Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and so on and so forth, were a little bit relegated to the sidelines of the musical scene. So over at Chess Records, they decided to try to modernize their sound, and this resulted in these sort of infamous albums. Got Electric Mud, and then the one that by Howlin' Wolf, which great pictures, obviously, and great attire. Really, that's looking more 80s than 60s. But anyway, this record was released in 1970, and it starts out with the just stomping and huge Elephant Man. The rest of the songs on the album are likewise head off in this kind of modern direction with this kind of big produced sound and a lot of bass and sort of stomping. Yeah, that's so it's a modernized version of the of his old sound with sort of more bass heavy, a strong component of the old sort of blues stylings on tracks like "Shut Up, Woman" and "I Don't Like You," which a mixture of old and new with an emphasis on the new. And oh yeah, there's also there's a one song thrown in to promote love and peace, uh, both along the lines of the hippie generation and the old gospel musicians that I'm sure are part of Bo Diddley's influence. If the Bible's right, if the Bible's right, we're all sisters and brothers. It goes, and we gotta love one another. So there you go, Bo Diddley. Item number two is obscure. It's so obscure that somebody else had to go crate digging for me, and that's the fine people at Funky Delicacies who have excavated the sounds of Gene Anderson and the Dynamic Psychedelics. And this is a compilation of recordings that were made from the late 60s until the late 70s, and they chronicle a sort of odyssey in sound of this St. Louis gentleman. In the back, you get to see some of the awesome parties that he attended and played at. And this is above all party music. Um, while the first couple tracks sort of do have a sort of 60s, almost sometimes sort of slightly British invasion type sound, you can hear elements of that. By the time you get around to the 70s, which is the bulk of recordings on this record, you are fully in sort of Rick James, Zapp and Roger kind of slap and bass sleaze territory. And for some reason, Mr. Anderson has decided to style himself in a number of songs as the Poo Poo Man. And that's not because he's into scat, from what I can tell. Rather, and somewhat more wholesomely, he's into the female posterior. So it's a fun little artifact from Middle America. If you want something that sounds like, yeah, Rick James, but without that 80s overproduction, so a kind of grittier, rawer sound, uh, go for this.
Okay, my first record is this nice looking album from 2019. This is by the band Khruangbin. That's Khruangbin. So they're like a three-piece kind of funk outfit from Houston. They sound like an extremely laid back, like if the meters were more laid back than they are with the reverb turned all the way up to 10. And this is an early compilation. I guess this was made for a Japanese tour. That's why you get Mount Fuji there and the Japanese, the Obi. It's a bunch of their early singles, some of which are really, really good. They kind of go down like, you know, cold beer on a hot evening out on the porch, something like that. There's a couple of really good covers as well. There's a cover of an Ennio Morricone song, a cover of a Serge Gainsbourg song, and a couple of Thai covers of Thai songs from the 70s because their name, I guess they also take influence from 70s Thai funk and soul. I don't know that stuff very well. But overall, I don't know their career all that well, but I really like their early stuff, and this is a nice collection. Second album is Gil Scott Heron's 1980 from, you'll never guess, 1980. Um, this is a very different sort of Gil Scott Heron from, the one that most people know. The revolution will not be televised, or uh, The Bottle or Lady Day. All those are great. He had been making records, really good records, for more than a decade at this point. Um, Always in partnership with this other guy, Brian Jackson. Um, and those records were a lot earthier, I guess you could say, or most of them were, because Heron himself was kind of a poet, or he was a poet. He was literally a poet. And his records were this cool mix of sort of, in some cases, radical politics mixed with blues and soul. And here, the radical politics are still there. The guy had very good politics. Um, but the music is very smooth. This is like a funk and disco record. And you can see in the photo here, these guys are in the synth room where they recorded or something like that. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of old school synths in there. So he's writing about the fall of the Shah and immigration and the decline of the Black Power movement and things like that. But this is totally radio ready stuff. There's kind of, these disco songs that go down very easily. There's some, sort of mid-paced funk jams. It's just, and every song's very good.
Are they wearing jumpsuits?
I neglected to mention the jumpsuits, although maybe it's sort of a techno-futurist thing. Maybe that's what it is. Jumpsuits and cowboy boots.
I've been a milkman, a garbage man.
Big butter and egg man.
I am the Eggman.
A true mask off moment. The nuclear reactor in South Carolina.
Yeah, we'll never have the pocket calculator in my house.
I'm the operator of my pocket calculator. Krautrock, 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 krautrock.
I'm not afraid.
If you play it backwards, you can invoke, the devil.
You're a bitch.
I look in the mirror and I say that to myself 3 times each morning.